Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for taking me on a turn. I apologize to everyone behind me, both to you and Chairman Welch. Thank you very much, and to members of the committee. I've testified up here now for the last several months on different bills, and this is the most colleagues that I serve with on the panel, so it's great to see there's still some old faces in the legislature. But I want to thank you very much, and members of the committee, thank you. For the record, my name is Mayor Walsh. I'm the Mayor of the City of Boston. I'm here to support House Bill 1067 and Senate 102, an act relative to Transportation Network Company for Riders Assessment, sponsored by Representative Mike Moran and Senator Joe Boncore. This legislation would help us continue to advance our transportation system and a transportation system that works for everyone, for residents, for our economy, and for the environment. And I just welcome the opportunity to come here and share a few words today. Transportation network companies have changed the ways that people travel, certainly, and I think we've all seen it in all our districts. In some ways, they've made things a lot more convenient for folks, but they've also increased congestion, especially during rush hour, and we see a large increase in the city of Boston. They're adding emissions to our air, harming the quality and causes for climate change. And we're working to find ways to make residents, make rideshare part of a sustainable, equitable transportation system in the city of Boston and beyond. This bill that's filed would help that. This legislation would improve upon the TNC regulations already in place. It would adjust the assessments to better reflect and mitigate the impacts on our streets and our environment. Right now, as you know, 20 cents per ride is collected, split between cities and towns, mass development, and the Commonwealth Transportation Fund. Last year in the city of Boston alone, we took in $3.4 million from TNCs. We're reinvesting that money directly into things like to make our transportation system better, whether you walk, you bike, you take the T, or you use rideshare. And that's a good start, but honestly, it doesn't go far enough. TNCs, in my opinion, should be contributing more to the public good, given the major impacts they're having on our streets. I just want to quickly give you a snapshot in Boston last year. 42 million TNC trips started in Boston last year. That's 115,000 per day. That's more than one every second. Many of these rides happen during rush hour, and oftentimes pickups and drop-offs happen in travel lanes, including bus stops, bike lanes, and emergency vehicle lanes, which adds to the congestion of the vehicular traffic in our city. Increasing the assessment will help us ensure that positive ways of growing the industry outweigh the negatives. As we increase the assessment, we also want to encourage more shared trips, fewer solo trips. The idea is to get more people into a car than having one person in the car. This bill proposed an assessment of $1 per solo trip, or 6.25% of the cost of the ride. For shared trips, the assessment is cut in half to 3%. This bill also supports our efforts to make Boston carbon neutral by the year 2050, and more carpooling is certainly better off for our environment, and that will solve another issue of a different committee and a different branch legislature trying to deal with the funding that we're doing to clean the environment. Our bill also provides a financial incentive for zero-emission vehicles, such as electric vehicles. Zero-emission vehicles will automatically get the lower 3% assessment, whether or not they're a shared trip. Finally, this bill discourages empty trips during rush hour. And I just want to, I know a lot of us have been sitting in cars behind empty Lyfts and Ubers waiting to drive around and pick people up. There's no question about that. We want to address this by introducing a 20% per mile charge if you're driving around without a passenger during peak hours of commuting. As many of you know, when you leave this building or you go back to your districts or you're coming into this building in the morning, oftentimes you will come across, you can count literally the amount of stickers you can see, TNC stickers, and oftentimes those trips are empty and they're looking to pick a passenger up, and that causes more problems. This legislation builds on the good work that's already been done at a city level. We've got dedicated pickup and drop-off zones for ride shares. We did a pilot program in the Fenway area, and we're working to see how that happens. New York has them all over the city of New York, and they're working to make sure they cut down on congestion. We're installing dedicated bus lanes and bike lanes in the city of Boston. We've rolled out 2. We're going to roll out several more in the coming weeks and months as we move forward here. We've made historic capital investments in bike infrastructure, electric vehicle infrastructure, and road safety measures. And we've created a transit team at City Hall to work with the state and work with the MBTA. We want to make sure TNCs work better for our city, and that's the next logical step to move forward. This bill that we filed isn't just about Boston residents. This bill is about the millions of people that come into the city of Boston every single day, whether it's to work or for tourism or for whatever reason there are. So this is about tackling traffic issues. It's about tackling the environment, and it's also about making additional revenues so we can reinvest all the money that we're getting from transportation. We're reinvesting back into transportation. This is one of several current bills aimed to improve the TNC situation in Boston and Massachusetts. I want to thank all of the lawmakers and the advocates in the governor's office and everyone who's putting forth a solution. I know you're dealing with a lot of solutions. Some today you're going to be dealing with. This isn't about putting a business out of, this is not putting a company or companies out of business. This is about how do you improve a quality of service. So I respectfully ask you to move this bill forward through the process on the regulations. I welcome any conversations. I want to thank you for the time and thank you for taking me out of order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions for the mayor?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Members of the committee, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.